Well, he hasn't been acquitted.
It is the court which released him.
Yeah, but not acquitted him.
And it's the court that I blamed. I said that it would have been better for Ruto to have gone through a full trial and then will be discharged for lack of evidence.
Hold on. Actually, in a recent interview with AFP, you said, no African head of state now needs to fear being tried by the ICC because you can destroy the evidence. You can kill witnesses. The ICC was blackmailed by these Kenyan figures, you say.
Certainly,
Which one is it?
But the mistake is not the accused. The mistake is that of the court.
The presiding judge says that there was interference in witnesses, and there was tampering, there was meddling. Do you agree with it?
And I'm saying that, yes, that is correct, because as you remember, the AU was basically pressurized to threaten to pull out of ICC, basically because of the Kenyan cases. There was intolerable amount of interference by the Kenyan government. And so if
you become president next year, will you take the Ruto case back there? Will you prosecute William Ruto for crimes against humanity?
Why should I?
Do you believe he committed crimes against humanity?
William Ruto was a member.
He was your ally at the time.
Yes, exactly.
So you probably don't want to accuse him of crimes against humanity.
Because I see no evidence that he
You see no evidence?
Yes.
So the case was all a sham trial. He should never have gone to the ICC.
You see, it is like this. We, as ODM, were the first one to write to the ICC and the UN Security Council,
yes,
saying that the government was committing genocide against our people.
And the ICC didn't just indict the government, they indicted people from your side, so your plan backfired.
The PNU side of the government now then went and supposedly collected evidence against ODM supporters. So I've always said that we as ODM did not organize any kind of violence.
Okay, let's go to our panel who are waiting. Agnes Gitau is an advisor on trade and investment for East Africa, a regular commentator on African politics and economics. How much responsibility do you think Raila Odinga and his party, the ODM, should take for the violence that tore apart Kenya almost a decade ago?
Our politicians must take accountability. And the two men that I hold responsible, and I speak on behalf of many Kenyans, Honorable Raila Odinga, who was the party leader for ODM, and former President Mwai Kibaki, these were the two names on the ballot paper. Kenyans were fighting because of a disputed election. So it was up to these two men to say to their followers, it stops now, not in my name. Had they done that, and my question perhaps to you, humbly, Honorable Raila, is there anything you could have done or could have said that could have saved 1,300 people?
I wish I was able to do so. And first, look at the whole incident in context. There was no way that Kibaki could have defeated me. And people walked out of their homes and began demonstrating on the streets. Now, what happened was that there's an order by the government of shoot to kill.
No one is defending what the government did here. I'm asking you, and she's asking you, do you have any regrets for your role in that violence? Yes or no? No regrets?
No.
Okay, let's go back to our panel. Poselelo Kantai is a Kenyan investigative journalist, editor of The New African, a former contributor to the Financial Times on these subjects. Was Raila Odinga responsible in your view? What role did he play in that conflict from your perspective?
Well, I think it's impossible for Honorable Raila to avoid taking some amount of responsibility for the violence. But I think, as always happens with this debate, there is I think a tragic misreading of what actually happened. The violence became the narrative, obscuring the fact that it was triggered by a heavily disputed election, which was coming on the back of at least 2 years of agitation for change, in which large swathes of the country were deeply unhappy and felt deeply betrayed. What it had created was a deeply ethnicized political establishment that was operating on the politics of exclusion and excluding most of the country.
Let me bring in Nick Cheeseman, who's Professor of African Politics at the Africa Studies Centre here at Oxford University. Nick, the Chief Justice of Kenya's Supreme Court, Willie Mutunga, warned last October that Kenya could be plunged back into ethnic bloodshed if politicians don't stop, quote, beating the drums of violence. From your perspective, how concerned should we be, the world be, Kenyans be, about a new round of violence next year after the presidential election?
I think we should be very concerned. There's a real possibility that we take our eye off the ball because the last election was peaceful. There were a number of things that happened in the last election. We saw Uhuru Kenyatta and William